Good morning, everyone. God bless you, and thank you for participating in this wonderful broadcast from Mount Shasta on this Monday morning. I would like to give a little talk on living from the heart. Living from the heart is a divine activity. It's something that we consciously do. And we do it because we know that it is wonderful for us and for others. We do it because love flows through us, through our heart, and we choose love rather than something else. Living in a heart-centered way, we always consider our heart and the hearts of others in the crucible of our decision-making. In the moments before we speak, and in that sacred space that exists right within us and in our consciousness before any major activity occurs, and eventually, as we master our heart, before we do anything. Living from the heart means being authentic, being who we are instead of someone else or someone that someone else thinks that we should be. This beingness of who we are allows us to manifest that beingness as it flows through and from our heart rather than our brain. Being authentic means being real, being true, being principled, being honest with ourselves and others. Really being true to our higher self and the higher self of others. And then acting from that beingness that flows from and through our higher self, so that that authenticity really emanates through our entire being. Living from the heart means being balanced. It's very interesting that the heart chakra is the center of the 7 major chakras from the base to the crown, and there's a reason for that. When we live in a balanced way, we live from the heart, and we have the balance of alpha and omega within us, father, mother, masculine, feminine. We consider the mother from her point in the base chakra and the father from his point in the crown chakra, and the way that we manifest our lives. And when we do this authentically, there is born within us, through our heart, the living Christ consciousness, because this is where the Christ awareness exists, in our heart. And we can emanate perfect light, perfect love, perfect beingness through that balance. We have the balanced scales of the father and mother. And if you kind of turn the chakras that are aligned through our spine sideways, you can see that the balanced scales then manifest at that fulcrum of the Christ consciousness within our hearts. And so if we get a little bit off balance one way, if we are manifesting too much of the alpha within us, we must bring the omega up so that we are balanced in the masculine and feminine aspects of our being. Living from the heart means that we master our mind and emotions to the extent that both of them work for us and not against us. it's okay to have emotions so long as we are cognizant of them and we don't allow them to rule us. It doesn't mean that we suppress either, because suppression only drives them deeper into the subconscious where eventually they can erupt or come out, and then we have all kinds of issues and problems. So instead of suppressing, we allow, however, we master. And that mastery moves into control, which is not human control, it is God control. And so when we control both our mind, our thoughts, and our emotions, they both work in balance appropriately to allow us to have, through that mastery, the God control within our being to maintain harmony and peace, understanding, patience. We know that emotion means energy and motion. And so there's always some energy and motion within us. Hopefully, it flows through the heart where the pressure can be equalized so that it doesn't explode in anger, riptides of imperil, and we can, through that maintenance of balance and harmony, through the nexus of our hearts, direct and stream forth the flow of that energy appropriately, adequately, and appropriately. Sometimes the masters and heart streams really raise the energy through my voice and through sometimes the meter and the power of the voice, and sometimes through the speed of the delivery, and that's to generate more energy, which when we accept it and utilize it internally becomes very transmutative and transformative of us if we allow it to play upon us and work its alchemy through us. So even the masters in their intense heartstrings show this energy and motion that is a God-directed stream of power for transformation. So it's not bad to show emotions. We just have to make sure that those emotions are housed in the integrity of true mindfulness. So we talk of the heart-mind connection in our movement, the balance of wisdom and love. This is so important. Living from the heart means that we are obedient to the inner voice of God, our conscience, day after day in our lives. We go deep within to listen to that still small voice, to discern through the grace of the Holy Spirit what that voice is telling us, which we can truly discriminate when we have a developed mind and heart, and then through obedience to allow the manifestation through our words, our works, our deeds, our actions of God's will, wisdom, and love in balance in our lives. If we hear the voice and don't obey, then we find out very soon that we're in a heap of problems. We can avoid issues, even relationships or words that flow through our mouths that are not so great if we listen and obey that voice. This is one of the most important issues for initiates, is that they gain the momentum of listening and obeying to the Christ voice within, the true voice of God within. When we do this, when we are obedient day after day, God provides greater resources to us of abundance, of help, spiritual nourishment, support of every kind from others, from the ascended masters, the angels and archangels and elementals, and from our true friends, our heart friends, to support both our individual mission being completed and our collective mission. So being obedient with Godfrey, who we prayed to today, is so important. And that obedience primarily manifests through our obedience to this still small voice within, because this is where the crux of living from the heart occurs. Day after day, hour after hour, moment after moment. It's internal. Yes, we can obey the Master's words, yet ultimately they always lead us back to inner Christ awareness, the Buddhic presence within us, the mother light that hopefully we are allowing to fully radiate forth through our consciousness. We gain wisdom always through the heart. The experience of the heart as it observes in a very universal and objective way what is transpiring in our world, through our lives, through our consciousness. Wisdom is knowledge fulfilled compassionately through practical living. It isn't wisdom unless it is knowledge applied. And we gain hopefully more and more wisdom as we age because of what we've learned through our mistakes. And so it's okay to make mistakes. Yet as we grow and age and become wiser, we make less and less mistakes from one perspective because we've gained that wisdom to then avoid issues and problems. The heart brings us true wisdom rather than just book knowledge and human understanding. Universal awareness flows from the universal Christ awareness through our individual Christ consciousness. And then when we access that, and we develop it through applied work and service, this is when I believe that we are truly heart-centered. I've spoken much about the fact that we can choose to live in the center of the circle, at that point of our unique individuality in God's eternal being, where we are, through heart-centeredness, in a point of non-reactivity, non-duality. We live from causality rather than reactivity and karma. We collapse karma in the center of that beingness, in that perfect point, in the exact center of the circle. And from that point, we resonate with God. We are one with God. We are in true beingness. And we feel at that point the emanation of light through our heart. If you have issues in feeling love or feeling the presence of the masters, you may not have quite mastered the science of going within into that still point of being, that still point of being where you can feel that connectedness with the source in the center of your heart. And so you have to learn how to meditate and collapse time and space into that center point of being in order to feel. Because this is where true feeling originates. True feeling comes from beingness, and beingness manifests by consciously choosing to be with God, to be in God's presence, with God's presence, alive in the presence. So when we choose to enter that still point of beingness in the great silence internally, we open up all kinds of opportunities for self-transcendence, for the glory of God manifesting through our heart. That's, I believe, when we truly begin to live from the heart. We may live somewhat from the heart as we're striving to reach that point of perfect balance and harmony in God's presence. And yet we're not quite there until we've had the mystical union through meditation, through daily practice over years and decades and lifetimes, to where we have accessed that point of our God reality. We have penetrated beyond the veil and Maya. We have truly entered the mystical union with our God. This is when, once we've experienced it and felt it and known it, that we can live from God's heart within our heart. So living from the heart really means that we consider God's eternal heart and we choose to enter that and then be expressive of God's love, God's light through our hearts, one with that. I believe that living from the heart allows us to always have reverence for life. Reverence for our life, for every life form, the unborn, reverence for God and nature, every part of nature, even the minerals and the plants, the animals, and especially, of course, for angels, archangels, the ascended hosts. We stop differentiating so much and entering into this state where we classify everything. In God's eternal presence and in this state of reverence for life, we enter that sacred activity through that reverence of holiness unto the Lord, of beingness through that purity of consciousness. We naturally move into a more peaceful state, and we choose to live more simply and reverently, without all the outer trappings of materialism. We may begin to divest ourselves of so much stuff and things that kind of cloud our worlds and our consciousness, because so much stuff is at some level a burden upon us. And so we begin to live much more simply through that reverence and through that field of energy that we generate through our reverence for all life. We move toward vegetarianism if we're not already, because we simply can't be a part of the murder or the killing of that which we take into our body. We can't be a part of murder of any kind, murder of thoughts of others. How much do we murder other people's thoughts by not truly listening and trying to just coerce them to think a certain way, to be a certain way? Is that at a very subtle level of consciousness? Murder? So reverence for life allows us to live in a peaceable state that as we live from and through our heart, we express God's love in very gentle, kind, positive, and nourishing ways. Living from the heart means that we are in an eternal state of gratitude to God and to others, to our higher self, to nature. We express that gratitude every day in some way. We say please, thank you, you're welcome in the English language, or translating into other languages as appropriate. We are hospitable. We have high manners. By this I mean that we enter the divine etiquette of consideration of how others think, feel, see, and live. And in a state of non-judgment, non-duality, we don't continue to pick apart, analyze from the human intellect why people are doing what they're doing. They're doing it because this is where they are in their awareness on the scale of their evolution, and it's okay. We don't condemn. We don't blackmail them by our mental constructs that are trying to suppress the fact that this is where they are. We allow them to play out their nature through their lives as they are living it and experiencing it without having this overarching mental, very intense field that we create that says you have to be this way if I'm going to collaborate or communicate with you. So, in a much less judgmental way, living from the heart means that we are accepting of everyone, who they are, where they are, why they are the way they are. And in that acceptance of what is, as Eckhart Tolle talks about it, the power of the now and a new earth, we are allowing the universe to play itself out in the great drama of life without trying to manipulate from the human standpoint. Yes, we are proactive in our divine state of beingness. It's not that we're wishy-washy or wimpy. We are very directed through our God consciousness to allow God's light to flow through and direct the streams through our chakras, through our consciousness, in such a way that we are powerfully impacting the world in a dynamic and authentic way. It's just that we are careful in the way that this is represented, coalesces through us, and manifests through our awareness so that we're not in an imposing way trying to impose or humanly control events. I've seen disciples who try to mentally control things and they never win because the human mind cannot do this under the constraints of the will of God. When you apply divine wisdom to anything, then the divine mind, the divine will, the divine heart manifests in perfection and glory in the ways in which, through us, through our heart-centered lives, living from the heart, we can then emanate that beingness and cooperate with life itself and the Holy Spirit. Living from the heart means that we are co-creators, which means that we are cooperating with the Creator in the ongoing creation of the universe as love flows through us, because love is that which creates. So being a cooperator and a collaborator with God, the Creator, through our office as sons and daughters of God, we become co-creators in order to be a part of the creation in an authentic and beautiful way. We use our mindfulness and our creative talents and gifts to participate in the alchemy of the artistry of how we, as an initiate and as a unique spirit spark of God, can perfume throughout the cosmos our gifts, our talents, and the graces that flow through us. It's a beautiful thing. We're a part of the entire web of creation, the warp and woof of all life, and our unique individual stream of awareness allows us to enjoy and appreciate and be a part of the ongoing process of God's co-creation with us. We're not kicking against the pricks and saying, God, you've done something that I don't like and I'm going to create it this way. Or as Sinatra says, my way or the highway, God. No, we are following God. We are reverent towards God. We appreciate God. God's will, wisdom, and love, and we enter into the creation with our minds and hearts in the right space, in the right vibration, in the right awareness. So much of art this day and music, I believe, is created by people that do not have God in mind. And so they create all kinds of jagged rhythms and jagged thought forms in the art, or what's called art in this day and age. And I don't believe it's true art. I think it's rebellion against the divine order, against the creation itself, against God. We have to be very careful that when we call ourselves an artist, that first and foremost we are living from the heart, our heart in communion with the eternal heart, and that what we bring forth and then share with the world represents something truly of love rather than our lower nature. It's so important to be a part of the creative processes of the universe without offending the universe, nature, God. And there are so many offenses right now, affronts to the divine. People have forgotten God. We must go back into our hearts where we can remember God. We can remember who we are as God beings, as light bearers, light workers, light sharers. And this remembering of our true state of inner beingness, one with God, then we can be authentic and real artisans. We can give our highest gifts, appreciating what heaven offers us every moment, what the angels and archangels do so majestically and beautifully to render God's light energies through their miracles, through their offerings to us. We listen to the Ascended Masters, we reverently appreciate what they are sharing, and then we attempt to be obedient and perfect ourselves through the nexus and the crucible of our hearts as we live authentically and we live from the heart. So this to me is a discourse that is very part and parcel to our upcoming book, because I think it's the crux of why we do what we do in our movement. We are the heart's center because we choose to be heart-centered individuals. Scientists and spiritualists of the highest order, balancing science and spirituality through the nexus of our hearts. So thank you for listening and participating. God bless you. I'll return you now to Kathleen and all of you wonderful souls in Mount Shasta, whom I will be seeing in about 9 or 10 days. Take care. Bye.